Perfect. So are you wanting to create notes like I do, or I know Bob creates the money out of thin air also with what he does. So, I mean, notes, my bottom line is yes, I do the lease option stuff because I want the depreciation also because I don't want to pay Uncle Sam any money. Notes don't let me do that. However, at the end of my strategy, I'm turning them all into notes. And then at that point, yeah, I don't have the depreciation or appreciation, but I have my note and I have it secured. And I do a little different in that because I do the 5-year lease, I have a sample of what that tenant buyer is going to pay or not pay. And then I know that there's going to be a good note at the end also. Plus, I also underwrite them through Dodd-Frank, the SAFE Act, so that they're all underwritten. I have the paper to go along with it in case I ever want to sell that note or a partial of that note.
Because you can only create like one note every year without doing that based on the Dodd-Frank Act.
According to my attorneys, I can't even do that because I'm considered a professional investor.
Just crosses into.
Yep. It's if I had a full-time job doing something else other than real estate, then yes, you can do the one a year. But other than that, I'm a professional investor. This is what I do for my living. So I'm not even allowed that one.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and at the same time, if you're moving in somebody that's going to live there, just for your security, you would want to do the Dodd-Frank and get them through a third-party underwriter. Because if you ever want to sell that note, that gives you all the underwriting and you didn't do it, somebody else did. So then you have a stronger note, so you don't have to discount it as much. I'm talking a little bit higher level because you said note and Bob and so forth.
Get closer to like
don't
the par.
understand what we're even talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy. Like when I went to this conference with Bob and he started talking about how he does this, I mean, I was like, why doesn't anybody know about it? Nobody's talking about this. It's kind of crazy to me. I was like, this is how you get out of the system, is like with notes. A couple wholesales here and there is great, but you know, that's not gonna pay you forever or a long time.
And wholesale is such a grind because once you get something under contract and once you sell it, you're out of a job. You got to start over again.
Yeah, I've got to find another job. And
yeah,
right now I've got a job and I don't even, or at least like the deal that I'm trying to sell right now, like I know it's high because everybody wants to go in there and like do a full flip on it. But I walked to this house and was like, dude, somebody could live here tomorrow. I don't understand why we don't need to come in here and rip it apart. And I feel like, you know, it helps my sellers more as well. They get more money and we don't have to like get it so deep that somebody can go in there and tear the whole place apart when it's like totally livable.
So when you're doing your wholesale, are you selling it to flippers or are you selling it to an end buyer?
So I've been selling to flippers and, you know, they always want them super deep. But the thing about them too is like I had one that was like, you know, I knew if it was deeper, I could have sold it like sight unseen, but people are not, in some situations, they're not like sweating time wise. So they're willing to wait a little bit. And if I'm upfront and honest with them and I'm like, hey, we're doing an off market deal, I'm going to get all my turtles through here and see what the turtles say. And then we'll get you paid. And it works. They're not very meaty, but I'm also pretty new. So I'm like any positive in the top line is good for me.
Is there any reason you don't do novations?
Sometimes I struggle to see the advantage of a novation for a seller.
Really? Can I show you?
Or at least I can't explain it well enough. So I'm like a fool. So I can't do it. Yeah.
Okay. You'll make more money with novations than you will wholesale all day long and selling it to an end buyer. Now you got to be careful. You said you're a licensed agent.
Yeah.
You do not want to list it. You want to get another outside agent because otherwise it's kind of a conflict and your broker won't like it very well. You can talk to your broker, but most people that do novations that are licensed, they get a different agent to sell it for them. Just to make it easier and keep you, you know, arm's length away. So you said you have a deal. Let's go through and analyze it real quick.
You want to look at it?
Got it.
Yeah, this is what I was hoping for. Yeah.
Yep. What I do? Hang on a second. I'm going to share a screen with you. Have you downloaded my calculator yet?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. I'm going to show you something here.
I'm a big calculator guy though, so happy to dive in.
Yep. So I'm just going to do a full analysis on this whole thing for you so you can see. I'll blow it up a little bit. We'll just do one at a time. Okay. So the way this calculator is set up is this area right here is actually set up for sub twos. And I do sub twos a little different. I actually do it with an actual wrap. So the seller gets a promissory note and a deed of trust to protect them. I don't do it like is being taught out there. That's how people are getting in trouble, and that's how they're getting sued.
You're saying you do a mirror wrap?
Basically, yeah.
You pay that other note, and then the servicer just transfers it all. Okay.
Yep. This is set up.
The house I'm in right now was a sub 2 that I bought on a wrap.
Oh, nice. Okay.
From Andy Kyle. I don't know if you know him.
Okay, I don't know.
No.
I do a lot of stuff in Tucson. I don't know a shitload of property in Tucson, but yeah.
Maybe you want to buy this one.
Yeah. This calculator here is set up if you're dealing with seller finance, so you can find out how much you can pay a month. Or if you are using private money, what kind of private money you can bring in and make it work. This is just a standard mortgage calculator. This area here is just using the top 4. So we actually use Zillow, Redfin. Basically, REI is PropStream. And then we use RPR, which is basically MLS. It's a nationwide MLS. If you're a realtor, you can get access to that. Over here is the actual Novation calculator, which I'll show you in a second. And then we have the wholesale calculator down below. So let's just start through the deal. So is this a cash deal or can it be a creative deal of any kind?
Cash deal. They have underlying debt on there, but it's not enough of the balance that it would really make sense. It's just too much equity to pay out for second position, really. So right now I have it written up as cash deal.
Okay, you have it as cash deal. Okay, so let's just see if it works to take it down. So when I take property down cash, I use a private money investor. Okay, so on the calculator, you're going to see 12%. I have all my guys, all my acquisition team use 12% just for round numbers, because if it's a $50,000 loan, it's $500 a month. If it's a $100,000 loan, it's $1,000 a month, interest only. So let's just use that. So let's break it down. Do you have rents in the area on that property?
It can vary a little bit, but if I was going to say conservatively, 1750.
1750?
Yeah.
And that's conservative?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say conservatively. It's really close to a hospital, but just standard long-term rents, 17 to 1750.
Okay, let's just play with that number then. So we're going to actually solve for PI, and actually it's only going to be interest. Do you have any idea what taxes are on it?
Looks like it's $1,800 a year for taxes. Give or take. $150 a month.
Yep. Okay. So and we work everything by the month. Oops. So 150. I'm going to add basically $100 for insurance. No arrears, asking price, don't care. What do you got under contract for?
230.
230. Okay. Cash.
In Tucson, I know I like deals that start with a 1, but
yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Okay, so on this calculator, on closing costs, I always put $5,000 in. We know it's not going to cost $5,000, probably a couple $1,000. But when I do this, when I'm taking out private money, that pays all my commissions in house too. Okay, so let's just say it's your deal. I'll just plug in $2,000 with this, and at a giving the cash or giving $230,000 to the seller at $1,700 rent, that doesn't even hit the 1% rule, if you know what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even hit that. So the way this is set up, at 12%, we're $800 negative cash flow. So it doesn't work as a takedown. Okay. So that's fine. We're going to go over here to Novation. And you have it under contract for 230, right?
Yeah. And
what's ARV on it?
If you did it completely, it could be 350.
Let's just say we're not going to do a thing to it. We're going to sell it
So
as
it
is.
does, it minimum needs a roof, but then
Okay.
it could go as is ultimately. I mean, obviously the roof is not as
What do
is.
you think you could sell it as is and they do the roof?
299.
Okay. So this calculator here is a Novation. If you're actually going to buy, whoops, well, I don't know how that happened. Back up. So you bought it for 230 on a Novation. We're looking at both sides of the real estate commission, buyer and seller. So it's 6%. We also add in 3% concessions, so we can help the buyer if we need to. So ours is actually called an RBP. I'm sorry. Our RBP, Retail Buyer Program. We do something different than Novations. Novations really don't take in concessions. We do. Novations usually don't take in repairs. We do, because we want to make sure it's a la carte scenario for our seller and they don't have to deal with anything. So we add in concessions of 3%. Do we always use it? No, we do not. It's just there if we need it for negotiation factors. Down here on a Novation, you are going to have some closing costs, so we always put $2,000 in there. We also put $5,000 worth of repairs, because if it's an FHA or VA, they're always going to find something that needs to be fixed. Conventional, sometimes you get away with it, but basically this 5,000 and this 8,900 up here is basically a slush fund, is what I call it. You may or may not use any of that. This number down here, I always want that profit to be minimum of $30,000. Right now, you've got a $35,000 deal here. Okay, if you can sell it. So I'm looking at if you can sell it on Novation for $299. Okay, now I just want to check something real quick here, because Zillow's saying 263.
Yeah, if you pull it on Zillow, something's not updated because Zillow shows one bath, and it's really a 3.2.
Yeah, so I go into RPR. I go to the MLS and it's telling me 350. So
yeah, there's one couple streets over that Open Door did like 7 months ago at like 358, something like that.
Yeah, so let's leave it at 299. So right here, we're looking at $35,000 profit. You've got it locked up for $230,000. Okay, what are you trying to market it out at right now as wholesale?
240.
240. Okay, so let's just run down to the next calculator here. So right here on a Novation, you're looking at 35. If you run down here, so what happens is we always have our people put in the big 4, and that would automatically drop down here to this line and give us our average. Okay, so I'm not going to put Zillow in here because we know that number's wrong. So this is saying 330 is what it's saying on just an average. So my guys use this kind of like a McDonald's type scenario. It's quick, easy, it's down and dirty. We also have manual comps in here too. When we really get down and dirty and start doing our due diligence, we will pull a manual comp. But while my guys are on the phone with the client, they're able to do this very fast. And this is going to help them to see if it's going to be, because in my organization, the first thing they look at is, can we buy the property and put it in our portfolio? And the other thing I do is I don't buy everything. So I pass stuff out to everybody that works here in my office so they can start building up their portfolio. So that helps them out just with the amount of leads we have coming in. If it does not cash flow, they immediately go over to a Novation. We probably sell about 97% of our stuff, if it doesn't go in our portfolio, with a Novation. Only about 3 to 5% is ever sold with wholesale. And here's why. So if you go down here, you're going to see that pops in. You said it needs a new roof. What's the square footage on this?
1,600.
Thank you. Needs a new roof. So 20. I'm not. If you're doing a flipper, so how much does it need in overall cost to rehab it, do you think?
If you're going for the 330, I'd say 50. Because you're doing the roof, but AC is good, furnace is good, and the water heater, they're all less than 5 years old. I know a water heater is cheap. But inside, you're really just doing floors and paint, maybe some cabinet stuff.
Okay. So using $30 square foot, about 48,000. Let's just leave that to play with it. Okay. So then you come over here, and the way the maximum allowable offer, with that, what happens is I've got it set up here at 50, 60, 70. But I'm going over here and looking what the flipper's going to make. So I automatically put in the 6% and the 2% because they get 2% closing costs and 6% to the realtor. So I want to see what the flipper's going to make the way I have it set up here. So right now he's making $24,000. Little lean on a $300,000 house. Okay. So you can go in here and change that. And let's just put in here 60%. That's probably too much. Let's go 65. 40,000. Yeah, you said 330 times. Well, usually they're going to want to make about 20% on that. Is that what you're finding?
I got a lot of folks that are happy to make 20 to 30K on a flip.
Okay, well then let's just go back and let's just use 70,000 or 70%. Okay, they're going to make 24,000 on that. So with that, the way this is set up, if you offer them 183,000, okay, you've already got it in there at 230. You're going to make 48. So let's change this because you're a little bit high. Let's see where that takes us. 85. Oh, that's pretty close. So you're at 230. I'm a couple $2,000 off, but it gives you the purpose here. So right here, if you give them 232 and you sell it to the flipper accordingly, your potential profit is at negative $1,500. So would you rather make that, or would you rather make 35 grand? That's the difference between them. Okay. That's why we sell everything with a Novation.